Hello, welcome back. How's everybody doing? Times are a little more challenging, difficult for retailers at the moment. That's exactly why it's so important for all that all of the chances for e-commerce are used. Sponsored articles are always a must. One of the Europeans' biggest companies is Criteo, and CEO Megan Clarken will talk about the most important retail media strategies. So please give a big warm applause for Megan.
Thank you. Guten Tag, everybody. Good afternoon. It's fantastic to be here. My name is Megan Clarken, and I'm the CEO of Criteo. Criteo is an ad tech platform, so an advertising technology platform, and we specialize in something called commerce media or retail media. So today, I'm going to talk about commerce media. I'm going to explain exactly what it is. I'm going to tell you why it's so important. I'm going to take you through 5 things that are going on in commerce media right now that are really important to know. And then I'm going to talk about the future of advertising as it relates to commerce media. So here we go. Just so that my peeps out back know, there's no slides coming up for me. So I'm going to wing it, and I'm going to ask you to play along with me. So what is commerce media? Commerce media is basically advertising on e-commerce sites or apps that attract a buyer who's on their buyer journey. So somebody who's shopping. So it's advertising on e-commerce apps or sites where people are shopping, or advertising to shoppers. That is commerce media. Early adopters to commerce media were retailers. And retailers coined the phrase retail media. So you've probably heard this be called retail media in different places. Retail media is a subset of commerce media. Retail media applies to retailers in this space. If you go out beyond retailers, you're talking about commerce players who might be providing services, like the travel industry or the finance industry, or hotels, or delivery services like Uber. They make up the broader set of commerce media players. Retail media is a subset of that. So that's what commerce media is. Now, retailers, as I said, were early adopters here. And the very early adopters came through only about a year ago and published in their earnings their revenue that was coming in from advertising. And those 2 big players that came forward were Amazon and Walmart. Amazon, as I said, came out about just over a year ago, and they published their ads revenue at over $40 billion. $40 billion in ads revenue. And then Walmart came out straight after that, and they published their ads revenue at over $4 billion. Now, Walmart had been doing this for only about 6 or 7 years, and Walmart is a retailer. So think about it. A retailer now has advertising revenue. They're now a media player. And that ad revenue is very, very high margin. That ad revenue is over 70% margin in some places. So, of course, every retailer on the planet sat up and took notice. It's like, wow, can we get some of this new business? Can we get some of this new revenue? What does it take? Well, actually, it's relatively simple. It takes you to be in e-commerce or have a digital store, attracting a big audience who are shopping, and then you can light up advertising to that audience. And that's what retail media and commerce media is. So how big is it, and how important is it? I apologize, this has gone AWOL here, but let me stay on this. By 2025, commerce media will be worth a whopping $290 billion in ad spend. $290 billion in just 2 years. Retail media will be worth $130 billion, so a subset of that. Let me put that into context for you. Search by 2025 will be worth $320 billion, and they've been at it since the mid-90s. Social has been added since the mid-2000s, and that environment will be worth about $240 billion. So commerce media will be bigger than social, and it'll be nipping on the heels of search. And when you think about search, and you've been watching the press for the last quarter, you'll know that AI, generative AI, is somewhat disruptive to search and the ad spend that's going to search. So now we know that this environment is in flux, and commerce media is a new player in town. It stands to reason that commerce media will be that big because, I don't know if you know this, but 2/3 of people start their shopping journey on the open internet. 2/3 of people start on the open internet, not on search and not on social. But only 1/3 of the advertising spend goes to the open internet, and even less of that goes to the retailers or the e-commerce sites themselves because they haven't lit up advertising businesses yet. So this is wildly interesting as we see the rise of commerce media and retail media. Commerce media will usher in the new advertising dollar. It will create a melting pot for ad spend for brands to come and utilize that environment. And it'll do that because it's built on a backbone of data. It's built with consented personalized data or consented consumer data that it can use to personalize, that it can use to optimize, that it can use to measure end-to-end in a closed-loop environment, something that so many other platforms had not been able to do, and to do it across a plethora of retail media networks. So this is big, so it's important to lean in. I want to take you through 5 things that are going on in this environment right now, which are really interesting to observe. The first one is table stakes. This is what retail media and commerce media is. It's called on-site advertising. It's basically the lighting up of advertising on the retailer or the service provider's site. There's 2 flavors of advertising. The first one is sponsored ads. And they're the ads that fall first when you do a search, a product search or a service search. They're the ads that are premium ads. They appear on the top of the page or in the most prominent places. And you're probably used to seeing this sort of advertising when you go to Google, because in your Google search results, you'll see the sponsored ads coming up first. That exact same practice has to happen on a commerce and a retail media site. The second form of advertising in this environment is everything else. All of the other advertising is called display advertising, but don't be fooled by the word display. It can come in the form of text, it can be banners and tiles, it can be rich media, it can be video, but it's secondary to sponsored advertising. Those 2 advertising models, sponsored and display, make up the inventory that the retailer or the commerce player will sell. And that's on-site for commerce media. Here's where it gets interesting, the next piece here. It's called off-site. And let me keep going. And the reason why this is interesting is it's very new. It's pretty nascent at the moment, but it's very important for one reason, which I'll take you through at the end. The best way to describe what off-site is to take you into a physical store, because you see it every day when you walk through a store. So imagine for a minute you're in Best Buy. Best Buy is a large consumer electronics marketplace in the US. When you go into the Best Buy store, you see Sony ads appearing all over the place, because Sony has an advertising relationship with Best Buy. Best Buy knows that in order to attract and retain consumers, new consumers to that store, it has to advertise out of the store. It has to take those ads outside. And so what you see is Best Buy/Sony ads that are appearing in billboards, in print, in television. So they take the ads outside. Exactly the same principle applies to the world of commerce media. Go inside MediaMart and you'll see Lenovo advertised on the MediaMart site. They know that in order to attract new clients to that store, new consumers, they have to take that ad off-site to the open internet and even out into the search or into the social environments. So they do that. Here's where it becomes really interesting. Because today, and I'm going to call it yesterday's advertising model, the DSP that they use to go find those new consumers only has a relationship with those sites. It only knows the profile of the audiences that go to those sites. So what it does is it creates a profile, a targeting profile, which is very broad. New mums, auto intenders, computer intenders, very broad. So the brand owner is spending a lot of money getting to a very broad audience. In the world of off-site advertising, the DSP is integrated into the commerce media platform. Therefore, it's integrated into the data sets of the retailer, meaning that this advertising model gets turned on its head. Instead of just looking for large targets on the publisher site, it's starting from the retailer's data. It's going into the SKU data, and it's saying, what kind of TV do I want to advertise? Is it a Bravia? Do I want to go that specific? So it starts there. It then goes to the purchase behavior. So who's bought one before? Are they due another one? What do they look like so that I can build a profile? And then it goes into the inventory data, and it says, so are they in a location where I can get the TV to them? They can get to a store, or I can deliver the TV to them. They're not finished there. They go to the next place, which is the loyalty data, and they say, which one of these consumers is actually a loyal customer of mine, and therefore I can overlay a discount onto that ad. So now you see the old world of DSP and off-site advertising, and you see the commerce media world of DSP and off-site advertising. It is vastly different because of the use of data and the integration with the retailers themselves. The next area, which is also very interesting for advertising, is the rise and rise of non-endemic brands coming to retail media. Retail media is not just a place for those to advertise that are sold by the store themselves. It's not just this walled garden that if you're in stock, then you advertise. It creates an enormous opportunity for non-endemic brands as well. So for instance, if you're in departmentstore.com and you go to luggage, you may see an ad for travel. Or if you're in grocery.com, you may see an ad for delivery services. And this is becoming more and more common. And the reason why it's important for non-endemic brands is because they have a captive audience of shoppers, people who are in the mindset to shop. It's like being the chocolate bars at the checkout counter. They're already there. And advertising in that environment creates context and relevance to them and to their brands, which is uber important for a marketer. I want to take you to the next area, which might seem like it's a little bit, well, not relevant, but it's incredibly strategic for us, for our industry. And I'll get to the reason why when I take you through what it is. Here's what it is. It's omni-channel. We hear from retailers over and over again that what they're trying to do is they're trying to connect their online with their offline and back again. We hear it over and over again, and it's very difficult to do, to almost impossible to do. What they simply want to do is they want to unlock their activations on-prem, in-home, and online, and back again, like this. But today, the methods that they use to do that are so clunky. They're still using spreadsheets, they're still using PDFs files. The teams don't speak to each other. They're in completely different parts of the company, and this thing just doesn't mesh. So because we've been asked about it so many times, we went out to see whether or not it was something that the ad tech community could solve. And we came across a company called BrandCrush, which we ended up acquiring at the beginning of this year. What BrandCrush do is they manage the booking, they do inventory management, they do campaign management, they do the workflow, and they even manage the payment from one side to the other, from the digital activations in the store to everything that's happening online. The reason why this piece is really important to us is because when you get fidelity of data flowing backwards and forwards between offline and online, you unlock the trade marketing budgets. And everybody knows that the billions of dollars that I talked about before are tiny when you compare them to the trillions of dollars that sit in the trade marketing budgets. So if you can unlock them by providing a ways and a means to have that data flow from one side to the other, you have the opportunity to unlock those budgets and bring a bunch of those dollars into our world, into the digital advertising world. So that's why this one is so critically important. The last one I want to talk through is dear to my heart because it comes out of measurement. So before I started with Criteo, I've been here for 3 years. I was 15 years in measurement. And for 15 years, I heard from CMOs that told me over and over again that the biggest obstacle and the biggest headache they had in terms of spending dollars and their digital budgets was measurement. It was just a pain in the butt. So if you talk to a CMO, what they're getting, what they really want to get is they really want to know if somebody saw it and if they bought something. It's as simple, they're the two things they want. They only want to pay for it if it's had a conversion for them. This is what they get today. They get data about viewability. Whether somebody saw it, it was above the fold. They get data about brand safety. That might be by a different provider or the same provider, but those two things have to try to come together. Then they get data on audience. And if they're lucky, they get reach and frequency data by age and gender, which is of no use to them at all and does not connect to the brand safety or the viewability data. Very different providers, very different methodologies. The next thing that they get is they get data about conversion, whether or not there was a click-through, and that comes from another source as well. And then they get attribution data, which comes from somebody out there doing attribution that's often taking panel data and linking that data to exposure data that doesn't speak back to the exposure data they're getting from reach and frequency. And then they're looking for ROI, and ROI doesn't often come until months later when the market mix modeling data comes through. And so now they're months down the track and they've had to be measurement scientists themselves. And by the time they get this full picture, it's of no use. It's too late. It's way too late. The only thing they could do is go back and say, I didn't get what I paid for, give me my money back, and nobody does that. So it stands to reason why this is such an obstacle for CMOs. One of the reasons I switched from measurement to ad tech is because in an ad tech world, you can see this very clearly. And in a commerce media world, you can see how this can be resolved. Because in a commerce media world, all of that data is at the source. You see all of it yourself. If you're the DSP and the SSP that's sitting on top of that platform, you see it all. You can put those pieces together. It's high fidelity. And you can optimize. You can optimize and measure at the same time. And that's a world away from where we are today, where we can't optimize on the fly at all. So commerce media and retail media really lights up this opportunity to measure in closed loop, in a closed loop environment like we've never seen before. So look, I'm really bullish about the future of digital advertising. And I'm really bullish about it because of the power of commerce media. We live in an environment today where for me in the measurement world, nothing really has changed in 15 years as much as we've tried. We have a macroeconomic challenge, all of us. It's affecting all of our businesses. We have walled gardens that are taking hold and more of them promising to pop up that are being very tight about their business and the data that they have. We have lobbyists that are taking away signals that enable us to simply know whether somebody who's come to my site is the person that was there 5 minutes ago so that I can make sure they get the same and the right experience. All of this makes it very challenging. But in the case of commerce media, we get a world where advertising is based on a foundation of data, that AI can simply sit across that data and generate some amazing productivity gains and some amazing user experience gains by doing voice conversions to rich media and being able to do that in real time. This is an incredibly exciting world, and I really hope that you can see that. Criteo has been in this space now for a good 7 years. We came out of the retargeting space where we'd been for 14 years, and we're open to talking to anybody about this. We love talking to players about this, so don't be afraid. There's Criteos around here, and I hope that you can see what we can see, and we'd be happy to talk further. I want to thank you for your time.
I have a few more questions, Megan, if you have a second. For the marketers in the room, what are the biggest hurdles in retail media?
The biggest hurdles we come across are scale. So how do ads get out to as far places as possible in a way that is managed within a budget from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel? There's so many different places now to place advertising. So in order to get a message out at scale is one of the first things that retailers are looking for. And the second challenge, I think, or what we hear from mostly agencies and brands, is how do I get across retailers all in one fell swoop? Because retailers will light themselves up individually to brands or to agencies, and it doesn't optimize their ability to take advantage of this environment that we have and be available under one retail media network.
Okay, one last question in Criteo. Evolved from being a pure retargeting point solution to offering a full-fledged retail media solution within its commerce media platform.
Yeah, it's been a real ride. So we're 3 years into a 6-year transformation. We've gone from a pure play retargeting company to now a commerce media platform. And all of that transformation takes a lot of careful choreography from the people that we have on the Criteo team to the way in which we position ourselves to the street. We're a public company, and the way that we continue to support our legacy business while growing our new business. But what I love about this is that commerce media actually involves our legacy business. A tactic for sales in the commerce media world is retargeting. So it has a place in our story as we move forward. It's a careful, as I said, choreography through the next few years, but it's a really exciting one.
Very nice. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Megan. Okay,
Thanks,
give a
everyone.
big round of applause.